Democratic Congressman Dave Cicilline of Rhode Island, who also sits on the House Judiciary Committee, so I would imagine you men probably know each other, and is co-chair of the Democrats' Policy and Communications Committee. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Some of the criticism for Democrats, just to put it out there, is that you guys have kind of been dripping with thirst for there to be some sort of charge of something to see in Mueller's investigation. You, like everybody else, has no idea what's in there, but so far no evidence of any collusion. And what say you?
Well, I think, first of all, Democrats are not thirsting for that. What we have been very focused on is an economic agenda that addresses the economic anxiety of the American people. With respect to the investigation, what we've said is, let Mr. Mueller complete his work. We have tried in every way to protect the integrity of the investigation. There has been tremendous efforts to interfere and try to impede it, both by the president and his team. The American people are entitled to know the truth. Let the investigation continue. Mr. Mueller should be protected so he can finish his job and tell us, where the facts lead us and report to the Congress and to the American people what's there. But I think, we are very frustrated because while all this attention is being focused on this, we're not doing an infrastructure bill. We're not addressing the high cost of college. We're not addressing the high cost of prescription drugs. There's a lot we could be doing, but we have a White House that is, consumed with an investigation, with conflicts of interest.
Wait. You're saying
scandals.
The White House is consumed with this investigation? The president put out how many millions of dollars have been spent, and there's no evidence of collusion.
Well, you say there's no evidence of collusion. We don't know that. We don't know everything Mr. Mueller owes. We know for sure. No, you don't know what the investigation has produced because it hasn't been presented to the public.
Fair.
What we do know for sure is the Trump organization met with the Russians who said they had dirt on his opponent, and then the president dictated a letter that lied about that meeting and tried to give it another explanation. There is ample evidence that there was collusion between the campaign and the Russians. What we don't know is
if that were the case, we'd be hearing that at this point. What you're listing are some things that have come.
Harris, the investigation is not done. And all I'm saying is let the investigation be completed. Mr. Mueller, his investigation is filled with professionals who are doing their job. We ought to let them do it. And people ought to stop trying to stop the investigation.
But you accuse the White House of being focused on the investigation. I would say that everybody on the Hill has been focused. You can multitask and still get infrastructure done. You can multitask and still be part of the North Korea and the health care discussion.
But the president's not. But the president's not, Harris. That's the point. The president is so distracted with the chaos.
That's not true. He had top Korean officials, North Korean officials at the White House on Friday.
Look at the president's Twitter. Look at the president's Twitter. All he's talking about.
Okay, so you're trying to tell me that you want to hold the entire White House and administration according to
Harris, a
couple hundred characters on Twitter.
You know what my constituents are concerned about? What are we doing to raise family incomes?
These are all great questions. Where are you guys at the table for health care?
We have all of these proposals.
Where are you at the table for illegal immigration?
We have a Democratic, very bold economic agenda that talks about reducing the cost of prescription drugs, making child care more affordable, raising family incomes, making sure people have the skills necessary for the jobs.
I'm just saying that why
can't you all do
There's no coverage
of that. Instead, you cover all the stuff about the Russia investigation. The Democrats are saying, we want the investigation to be completed. Let the professionals who are doing this is a serious investigation. The Russians interfere with our democracy. They attacked it, and they're going to do it again. That ought to be a concern to everyone, Republican, and Democrat,
and independent alike. Well, people on both sides of the aisle, with due respect, are concerned about that. And when you talk about whether or not you can get these other things done.
We have a president and a Republican Congress that is focused on undermining the Department of Justice, undermining the professionals who are doing this work, attacking the FBI, attacking the Department of Justice.
There's a long line of actual
the rule
evidence
of law in this country.
Of some bias at the FBI among a small number of employees. It's not widespread. You and I are not saying dissimilar things.
Say that.
You're just out shouting me, and that doesn't count.
No, I'm not out shouting you. What I'm saying to you is, look, we want the investigation to be completed. I think everyone does. But we ought to have a president that stops trying to impede it, interfere with it, undermine it. Let the work be finished.
What do you make of the leaks on this? The leaks on this and previous ones, too, out of the House intel, where the fingers seem to be pointing at Democrats. Look, we can go around and around in circles on this, but we're saying similar things about all the other things that need to be focused on. So when the president calls Democrats obstructionists and expects some of you to come to the table, what do you say to the president?
We're at the table. We're not in charge. We have ideas on how to reduce the cost of health care. We have specific bills to reduce the cost of child care, to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. We can't get a vote on any of these. We're not in charge. When we become in charge in November, we'll be able to move forward on all this. Right now, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
No. We know how the elections turned out.
They have the power to bring any of those bills to the floor.
I want to inject something positive in this conversation. if I can. The Senate Dems today,
Sure.
who sent a letter to the president with their deal terms for North Korea. Again, not too dissimilar to what people on the other side of the political aisle, not too dissimilar to what some of the expectations should be. And if there's one place where you all ought to be able to get together as the American public watches, they might hope it would be North Korea and moving ahead. It didn't happen with Iran. We pulled out of that deal. So I want to give the last word to you just in terms of this sort of togetherness spirit, because it is going to take that, no matter how much you shout.
Yeah, no, I hope the North Korea summit is a success. I think there's a lot of reasons to be skeptical. We've seen the North Koreans on 2 prior occasions lure the U.S. into negotiations, and while they were getting concessions, they were continuing with their program. I think the president has to do a lot of analysis and study and understand the history of the North Koreans, what their objectives are. I think he's now basically said this is a meet and greet without an expectation it's going to produce very much. But I've said from the very beginning, there's not a military solution. It requires diplomacy. I hope I'm wrong and he's going to be successful. It's hard to imagine that it will, because the president hasn't put together a real strategy, hasn't studied it so carefully, sort of shoots from the hip. But I hope it's a success. I think everyone should want this to be successful, and we denuclearize the Korean Peninsula.
Whew, we ended that on integrity, I might add. Congressman Cicilline, thank you very much, and we'll bring you.